I thought what better time to share these tips and advice than now, because I am currently going through it myself. So I thought I'd just sort of share the process. Hi guys, I'm Lauren and welcome back to my channel. I'm the owner of Bluebird Creative and Bride Academy, and I provide a weekly dose of wedding planning goodness for the modern couple. So this week guys, if you are new here and you don't know who I am a wedding planner, and I am currently in the process of planning my sister's hen do. Now this isn't my first hen do planning experience. I have had to do it for another friend back in the day as well, but it's not something that I typically, well, it's not something that I ever get involved with my clients, but I'm on the other side of it, and I thought it'd be great to be able to share some tips and advice with you guys, because obviously I am a professional planner. So let's jump into this week's video and talk through how we can hopefully make the experience less of a headache, because let's be honest guys, hen dos can very easily end up feeling like you're herding cats. Okay, so let's start with what it can feel like when you're planning a hen do, or when you're tasked with planning a hen do. So you might be asked to be a bridesmaid, and then suddenly it hits you and you realise you've got to help plan a hen do. Now, for those of you guys that aren't UK based, perhaps you're watching in America, Canada, hen do is what we call a bachelorette party. So bachelorette weekend, over here we call it a hen weekend. Same, exactly the same thing. So you are probably feeling, you may be feeling super excited, you love planning, you're the planner of the group, that's amazing. Or you're potentially feeling overwhelmed because planning is not your thing. You have a busy job, maybe you just have a busy life, maybe you have children as well to throw into the mix, that's me. And it's just an extra thing that you need to be doing. So what can you do to help make it feel less stressful and less of a big mammoth task? If you're a bride and you're watching this, you might also be thinking you're the planner of the group, and now you're handing over the planning of your hen do or your bachelorette party to your friends, but you're the planner of the group. Because I can wholeheartedly be honest with you guys and share that when I was getting married, that's exactly how I felt. That is exactly how I felt. I wasn't a wedding planner back then, but I was very much the planner of the group. And handing that over to people that were not planners, it made me feel uneasy. It definitely made me feel uneasy. So let's talk through how we can make it feel less uneasy and what you need to consider to make it less of a headache and make it a really enjoyable experience. So first of all, herding cats. It can very, very much feel like herding cats. And I think that's where you need to start right from the beginning and set out what it is that you want to achieve. So you want to start with getting that guest list. Okay, guest list is absolutely vital. You need to get that off the bride, and you need to get their email addresses and their mobile numbers. That is the absolute number one. Then you need to decide on your boundaries. I will be perfectly frank with you guys. My boundaries are no, we are not setting up a WhatsApp group for the hen weekend and all the hens until 1 month before the hen do. That is exactly what I've done. And I know that that wasn't all the bridesmaids' feelings, but I cannot cope with all the additional noise and all the additional input and all the additional questions that come with it. So I very much had to put that boundary in, because otherwise it would have just felt too much for me. And I personally don't feel like everybody needs, we don't need it that far out. Like, we have a WhatsApp group with the bridesmaids, which is great, so we can chat through all the logistics and the planning of the hen weekend. So that's just 4 of us. If you've got 10 bridesmaids and you're all planning it together, that could be a case of too many cooks, you know, but there's 4 of us, it's perfect. And we are adding, or we will be creating, a WhatsApp group with all the hens 1 month out, which is basically at the end of this month. So I need to prepare myself for the additional noise. It's not actually a big hen do, and they're all really sweet, but I just get overwhelmed with too many messages, and I'm not very good at WhatsApp, I'll be perfectly honest with you. Which brings me on to my next point, is why I decided that all communication for the hen do was via email, because then I can flag it in my emails and deal with it like it's work. Then I'm on top of it, then it's absolutely fine. But when it's getting back to stuff in WhatsApp, for me personally, they would never hear from me. They would absolutely never hear from me. So those are my boundaries. I think if you're planning this, what are your boundaries? What can you commit to and what can't you commit to? Is it a case of you can only do a little bit of planning sort of at the weekends? That's fine. Make sure everybody that's involved in the planning is aware of what they can commit and what's okay and what's not okay, and just be honest. I was really frank with the girls. I was like, we're not doing a WhatsApp group. Not yet. I can't do it. It's too much. I don't want it. The next thing that you need to think on the herding cats topic is very much a case of keeping everybody informed, making sure they have all they need to know, because otherwise you're just going to get questions. People are going to feel like they're not in the know, they don't know what they're doing. So give them the information, or as much information as you possibly can, right at the start of the planning process. So how much are you thinking in terms of budget? Let them know and check that they can afford that and that they're on board with it, and that you're going to put a payment plan in place. And we're going to come into budgets and payments in a minute, because that's another very stressful part of hen doing. So you want to make sure that they have that information. What's the outset budget? Have you got a payment plan? What are you thinking? And can they make that work? Then also let them know where you're considering on location wise. Where are you thinking of having it if you haven't started yet? Because again, they may be able to commit to something that's 2 hours away, but perhaps they can't commit to a destination that's on a plane, or perhaps they can't commit to something that's 4 hours away. It's just a bit too far for them. Maybe they have a little baby at home, for example, and they need to just make sure that they're only within a few hours away. Maybe they can't commit to the dates that you're proposing, so make sure you send over the dates as well. Perhaps they can come for a day and not the weekend, and so on. Set out your intentions, let people know your intentions, and see where they come back. And as I said, I'm a big fan of the email, because it just stops all the random kind of toing and froing and too much information coming in from the hens, and it's just informative, and then you get your responses back, and it's not crazy. It's definitely not crazy. It's been a much slicker process, in my opinion, dealing with things in this manner. And so I think going forward throughout the planning, just keeping everybody informed is really important, only when they need to. So we're a month out. Last weekend I sent over the formal invites, which was a PDF as such. They already had the information of kind of the location of where we were staying, and they'd been sent an image of where we were staying, and they obviously knew the dates and the budget. And we've now sent over the itinerary and the dress code, so they've still got, I think it was 5 or 6 weeks, they've got to plan their outfits and all the things. And then we've sent over a couple of little tasks that we would love them to do if they can do. I'm being very careful with what I'm sharing at the moment, because if my sister watches this, which I doubt she will, then I don't want to give anything away, because the hen do has not happened yet. So I'm a little bit premature probably in recording this, but I'm in the planning process. So I thought, you know, let's share whilst I'm feeling it. So then we move on to budgets and payment, and I've kind of tickled on this a little bit anyway, but essentially map out the budget. What is everybody comfortable with paying? And then essentially that is your budget. So then you need to work out what you can do for that budget. Don't do it the other way around, friends. Don't start looking at stuff and going, okay, so to do all of this stuff, we need £500. That's a whopping load of money for people to commit to a hen weekend. Some people might be absolutely fine with that. And if you're going abroad, you're going to be spending more money anyway. But consider what people can afford, and then I would go with that. Unless your bride is so set on what they want to do, and then perhaps you need to say, this is the budget. We understand that not everybody's going to be able to make it, but this is what she really wants to do. And then the bride obviously needs to understand that you'll probably have less people going. Priorities. It's mapping out those priorities and those boundaries. So budget-wise, payment plan, I've basically created from my wedding planning kind of documents, I've pulled something together, and I've got like a 5 or 6 tab sort of G sheet that is basically tracking everything. So I'm tracking all the hens, who can come, who can't come, and in that I've included things like their dietaries and their contact details and any notes that I need to know, for example, pregnancies, etc. Just things that I need to be aware of. And then I've got another tab that's tracking the budget, and that's the full budget breakdown with like how much we've got, what we're spending on venue, what we're spending on activities, how much we need to get in for food, blah, 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 like all the things, all the little bits and bobs, the games, all of that stuff is being tracked in the budget tracker. So there's no mucking around and getting it wrong. It is all tracked. It is all on top of. We also then have a payment tab, so I can track who's paid, how much they've got left to pay. If they've set up and they want to do it in installments, then I've got that in, and then I can just notify them. We haven't gone as far as automations. I don't really feel like that's required for a hen do, but it's all on top of. Then I've got another tab for the timeline of the hen weekend, because I am a wedding planner and I cannot help myself. So we have got timings of sort of check-in and what activities we're doing and when we're doing them and what I need to do and so on, because, you know, it's an event and it's my life. And then we also have a tab of tasks for all the hens, not the hens. We also have a tab for tasks for the bridesmaids as well, just so that we're all on top of what it is that we've committed to doing for the planning. So that's been super, super helpful, having that to just keep going back into that document. So I would highly recommend doing that. And in fact, I think I'm going to turn it into a template and add it onto our digital shop as well. Super, super affordable, because I just think it's super helpful. And you're suddenly thrown into planning an event and maybe you're not a planner. So yeah, I just thought it would make it easy to pop a template down for you guys. So it's a little bit more helpful and maybe more achievable. So we've mentioned location. That's really important. Again, decide as a team what is the most convenient location, double check the hens can do it, and then obviously then start looking at venues, whether it's houses, apartments, villas, for example, hotels, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with, and being aware of your bride and what it is that she would like, because that's really important. So I think essentially what I'm trying to say here, and funnily enough, my spreadsheet kind of covers it in the tabs. It's a case of making sure that everyone's aware of budgets and payments, making sure that everybody is aware of the location and perhaps their commitment, what's required from them, making sure that communication is there throughout and that everybody knows what they are doing and what is happening and, you know, what they need to pack and so on. Just keeping that communication, absolutely, without the necessity of a WhatsApp, you know. But like I say, going to open it up at the end of the month because we want to build excitement, and we'll add the bride in too. And then making sure that you don't get task overwhelmed. So delegate, absolutely delegate between the bridesmaids, set out tasks, have somebody that's in charge of games, have somebody that's in charge of something else, you know, and feel like you're all on top of it together, and then have those tasks actually written out so you know who's doing what, and then they can check them off when you know that they're done. And that means that you're working together as a team, and that you just visually as well, if you've got it in a spreadsheet, you can see, oh yeah, we've done that, we've done that. Staying on top of those payments, on that budget, really important. You won't get into trouble if you do that, and keep checking in on it as well. And then obviously planning activities that fit the bride, make everybody happy so that you can have an amazing weekend. I would love to make another video on hen do's actually, and go into detail with some ideas for hen weekends depending on different types of brides. So perhaps you've got a real party bride that wants to go out and wants to have loads of fun activities. Perhaps you've got a thrill seeker bride that wants to go and do all the adrenaline junkie dopamine hunting like activities. That would probably have been me. And then maybe we've got more sort of chilled bride that very much wants to enjoy nice food and enjoy time with her friends, and just maybe stay in one location and just enjoy that time away together. I think I'm seeing a lot more of that, interestingly. I'm seeing a lot more of that. So perhaps a few more in this hen series of different activities and ideas. If you have got any ideas at all that you want to share, or if you would like me to do a particular video on hen do's, hen weekends, then absolutely drop them in the comments box below. We would love to pull together some fantastic ideas and maybe some companies to recommend to you guys as well for fun activities to do with all the hens. So I hope you found this video helpful, guys. Looking forward to creating some more hen weekend videos for you whilst I'm going through the process. Wish me luck. I've only got 4 weeks. No, I've got 6 weeks left until the hen do. So hopefully we're going to smash it. But yeah, have an amazing week, guys, and I'll be back next week with some more wedding planning goodness.